you like my shirt? It says feeling groovy. I told Lance, my husband, that I needed some cute shirts to do my videos, and he went for it. Okay, so real quick before we get started, when you guys bring back your this final packet on May 14th, that is Principal Appreciation Day. So if you guys can write a letter, make a poster, or get a little surprise for Dr. Julian before May 14th and bring it to her when you come up to drop off your last packet, that would be so amazing. I know it would make her feel super special. So just so you know, May 14th, Principal Appreciation Day. Okay, now we'll do some math. We have 3 videos left. We have 13.2, which we're 13.2, which we're getting ready to do, 13.3, and 13.4, and then we'll be done with the videos, the math lessons. I know, I'm sad too. Okay, so we are going to talk about area today. 13.2, turn to page 723 in your book. And your assignment today is going to be 727. So you can rip that out and bring it in on May 14th when you come to drop off your last packet. Remember to put your name on it. That's very important. If you have not put your name on all of your papers for Miss Webb, Miss Cunningham, and I, please do that because we separate them out and I take the math stuff, Miss Cunningham takes science and social studies, and Miss Webb takes ELA. So even if you put your name on your packet, when we sort it, we might miss, we've been writing names on them as we sort them, so we might miss something and you might not get credit for it. So names are super, super important right now because we can't hold up papers and say, whose is this? Okay. How can you use a formula to find the area of a rectangle? Now, we talked about formulas in the last video with perimeter when we did the P equals 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Well, area has a formula as well. And the way you find area of a rectangle is simply multiplying 2 numbers together. So you'll have a length and a width, or in the for whatever reason they decided to name them base and height, so that's why I have area equals length times width and area equals base times height. So let's get into it. Okay, and it's really cloudy today, so I'm hoping you guys can see the screen. Okay, the base of a 2-dimensional figure can be any side, and the height is the measure of a perpendicular line segment from the base to the top of the figure. So, for example, we could use this line as the base and this line is the height because they are perpendicular to each other. In other words, they have to be touching to be a base and a height. So they've given us some examples here. So for example, this first rectangle, you could use the base on bottom and the height on the side. Same with this one. Here, since it's kind of tilted, they just picked this one as the base and this one as the height. Area is the number of square units needed to cover a flat surface without gaps or overlaps. A square unit is a square that is 1 unit long and 1 unit wide. To find the area of a figure, count the number of square units inside the figure. So we use this, the area measurement to like find the size of a room that needs carpet. And we use, for example, a square unit, similar to like one of our little base 10 blocks. So to find the area, we're actually figuring out how many of those little squares would fill this up without gaps or overlaps. So if this were the square unit we were talking about. Okay, remember, perpendicular lines and perpendicular line segments form right angles, so we're going to see lots of right angles today. Okay, whoops, already starting that. Okay, so how are the base and height of an area of a rectangle related? So the base is one measurement that's perpendicular to the height, which is another measurement. And when you multiply them together, that would tell us how many square, in this case inches, would cover that entire surface of that figure. Okay, so here we go. It says complete the table to find the area. I don't know. I'm just, you guys just do your best. Okay, so we've got a figure here. The base is 5 units. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across the bottom. And the height then would be either this side or this side, either one, but both are 3 units. So for the height, we're going to write 3 units. And let me see if you guys can see that. Yikes. Okay, let me try to make it a little bit of a darker color and see if that works better. Okay, so let's try 3 units, okay, for the height. And the area then would be 5 times 3, so 5, 10, 15 square units. So 15, we write the 15, and then we write the words square. Let's see here, I gotta fit this in here. Square units. Okay, let me see if you guys can see that. I think so. Okay. Now on the next one, we need to count our base, which I will use the bottom for the base. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units as the base. And as the height, 2 units. And 8 times 2 is 16 square units. Okay. Okay, so on the next one we have 3 as the base and 3 as the height. 3 units as the base, 3 units as the height, and 9 square units as the area. Another way that you can write square units, instead of having to write out the words square units each time, you can write it like equals units with a little 2 to show that we multiplied 2 numbers together to get that area, okay? Next year when you get into volume, there are 3 measurements that you multiply together for 3-dimensional figures. So you would write units cubed with a little 3 instead of the little 2. Okay. what relationship do you see among the base, height, and area? Okay, so we're going to write down here the product of the base and height is equal to the area. Sound good with you? The product, let me make sure that's showing up. Product of the base and the height is equal to the area. Okay, the product of the base and height is equal to the area. Remember, product is the answer to a multiplication problem. So that word product tells you to multiply. Write a formula for the area of a rectangle. Use the letter A for area, B for base, and H for height. So area, capital A, equals lowercase b times lowercase h. Area equals base times height. Here's a question over here. How do you decide which side of a rectangle to use as the base? Well, I like to use the one that is kind of the bottom of the rectangle because the base of something typically means the bottom. But as long as it's a line that is perpendicular to what you're using for the height, then you're good, okay? All right, here we go. You can think of the base and height of a rectangle as the length and width, since length and width are perpendicular. You can write the formula for the area of a rectangle as area equals length times width. And that was this math idea right here. So either one works. Base times height, or length times width. Okay. Use a formula to find the area of the rectangle and the square. Okay, so for letter A, I'm going to use the 6 foot as the base and the 2 foot as the height. So our answer then will be 12. And so the area of A is 12 feet squared. Okay? So make sure that you put that, since we're measuring in feet and we're measuring, or we're multiplying two numbers together, we need feet squared. Okay? On the next one, our base is 2 and our height is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4, so the area of B is 4 meters squared. So try this, write a formula for the area of a square. Now think about when we did perimeter, okay? When we did perimeter, we used P equals 4 times S, okay? 4 times the side. For the area of a square, so let's think about a square for a minute. If we have a square and the area would be, so this would be the base and the height, so let's just say 2 feet and 2 feet. So how could you, so we know that we're going to multiply, let's actually use a different number. So let's use 4 and 4. Okay, so the area of this square we know would be 16. scratch that. Okay, I'm going to do one different one. Okay, let's do 6 feet for a reason, okay? Because whatever, we're going to do the area equals, in this case, it would be 6 times 6. So side times side would work. Or, let me see. Yeah, that's what they put. Okay, so for the area, we're going to use A. For the side, the length of a side, we'll put S. So area equals side times side. Okay, so that is our formula for a square. The area of a square equals a side times a side. Okay. Here we go. Find the area of the rectangle. We know area equals base times height, or B times H. And in this case, we have a base of 11 and a height of 13. So over here, let's come over and do 13 times 11. So 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. 0 placeholder, move over here and go 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. Add those together and we will get 143. 143, but we're not done. We have to label it centimeters squared. Centimeters squared. Okay? You guys see that? Okay. All right. Next page. Last page we're doing together. Okay. So they've given us our formulas up here at the top right-hand corner. The formulas we're going to use for a rectangle and the formulas we're going to use for a square. And so let's start with number 2. So area equals, this is a rectangle, so base times height. And the base, let's use 7 times the height is 2. So the area equals 14 inches squared. Okay? And then on the next one, it's a square. So the area of a square equals side times side. So 9 times 9, and that equals 81, and we're dealing with meters squared. And the last one is a rectangle, so area equals base times height. We'll use the base of 8 times the height of 14. And I'm going to come over here on the board and work this one out. 14 times 8. So 8 times 4 is 32. Put down the 2, carry the 3. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 3 more is 11. So 112. And we're dealing with square feet. So feet squared. Okay. It says, explain how you can find, let's see here, eek. Explain how you can find the area of a square if you only know the length of one side is 23 feet. Well, if the length of one side is 23 feet, then all the sides are 23 feet. So 23 feet, and we can just plug in 23 feet and then multiply 23 times 23. That will give us the area in square feet. Okay, you can pause the video now and come back in a minute and check your answers while I get my drink, okay? Okay, just because, yikes, it's just not showing up really well, so I'm going to just kind of draw these out for us. So number 5 is a rectangle that is 13 feet and 5 feet. So the area equals base times the height, and that equals 13 times 5. And so over here I'm going to do 13 times 5. 5 times 3 is 15. Put down the 5, carry the 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 65. So 65, and we're dealing with feet squared. Did you get it? Okay. Here we go. Number 6 is a square, which is 13 yards on each side. So 13 yards and 13 yards. Okay, so the area of a square equals side times side. So that equals 13 times 13. So I'm going to come over here and do 13 times 13. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 1 is 3. 0 placeholder. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. Add those together and you will get 169 yards squared. Okay, and the last one is a skinny little rectangle. Let me make sure you guys can, yeah, you can see. Okay, 7 is a long and skinny rectangle with a 2 centimeters here and 20 centimeters here. So area of a rectangle equals base times height equals 20 for the base times 2 as the height. I can use my basic fact on this guy and go 2 times 2 is 4 with a 0 behind it. So 40 centimeters squared. So for number 5, you should have written down 65 feet squared, and then 169 yards squared for number 6, and then 40 centimeters squared for number 7. Okay, on this one they're just giving you the numbers and no figure, so we can just work the multiplication problems. Okay, number 8, base is 16, height is 6. So number 8, 16 times 6. 6 times 6 is 36. Put down the 6, carry the 3. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9. So 96, we're dealing with feet squared. So that should be your answer on number 8, 96 feet squared. Okay, next we have number 9, which is 17 times 9. 17 times 9. 9 times 7 is 63. Put down the 3, carry the 6. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 6 more is 15. 153 yards squared. 153 yards squared. Okay, and then next one is 14 and 11. So number 10 is 14 times 11. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. 0 placeholder. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. Stack them and add them. You will get 154 centimeters squared. 154 centimeters squared. Terry's rectangular yard is 15 meters by 18 meters. Todd's rectangular yard is 20 meters by 9 meters. How much greater is the area of Terry's than Todd's? Okay, so first we got to figure out Terry's, then Todd's, and then find my favorite math word, difference. Okay, so I'm going to use red for Terry and black for Todd because we are the pirates and our colors are red and black. All right, so Terry is 15 by 18. So 15 times 18. So 8 times 5 is 40. Put down the 0, carry the 4. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 4 is 12. Okay, cross out that 4, 0 placeholder. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. Stack them and add them, and we get 270 meters squared. I saw that they were talking about yards, but they're talking about their actual yard, like lawn mowing yard. Okay, so here we go. Then we have Todd, and his yard is 20 by 9. So watch this. I'm going to do this with our basic fact. 2 times 9 is 18. Bring over my 0. So Todd's yard is 180 meters squared. So then we've got 270 and 180. So we have to find the difference. So we put the big number on top first. So Terry's yard, 270 minus Todd's yard, which is 180. 0 minus 0 is 0. 7 minus 8, can't do that, can we? So we have to go next door to the 2, make that 2 into a 1, and stick a 1 in front of our 7, making it 17. 17 minus 8 is 9, and 1 minus 1 is nothing. So the difference in Terry's yard and Todd's yard is 90 meters squared. So, how much greater is Terry's yard than Todd's yard? 90 meters squared. And the last says, Carmen sewed a square baby quilt that measures 36 inches on each side. What is the area of the quilt? Okay, so remember our formula for the area of a square is side times side. Each side of this square quilt is 36, so we're going to do 36 times 36. Here we go. 6 times 6 is 36. Put down your 6, carry your 3. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3 more, 18, 19, 20, 21. And now we're done with that 3, so I cross it out, put my 0 placeholder, and go over to this 3. 3 times 6 is 18, put down the 8, carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So then we stack them and add them, and we get 1,296 square inches. 1,296 inches squared, or square inches. That's it. Okay, so you guys, you should have your multiplication table if you need help, but I've reviewed throughout this video how to multiply 2-digit numbers times 2-digit numbers. Real quick, you can also, if you were trying to do 36 times 36 and wanted to do partial products, remember you can draw a model, a box, and break this into expanded form, 30 and 6 and 30 and 6, and then multiply for this box is 30 times 30. We use our basic fact of 3 times 3, which is 9. Then we tack on our 2 zeros. And then 3 times 6 is 18 with 1 0 behind it. For this box, it's 6 times 3 is 18 with 1 0 behind it. For the last box is 6 times 6, which is 36. Then we stack them and add them. 900, 180, 180, and 36. And when you add those together, 8 plus 8 is 16, plus 3 more is 19. Put down the 9, carry the 1. 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay? So remember, you can use the partial products method if you are more comfortable with that. I don't require you to use the regrouping method or the partial products method. Either one, you choose which one you're more comfortable with. Okay? So don't forget your name on your paper. 727, tear it out when you're done, and I will see you soon.